And welcome back, everyone. I'm starting a new series, folks. I know people have been asking for it, except it's a series that I'm probably going to be doing very infrequently. But it's also a series I can just do, snap. You don't have to hear my finger snap like that, and just talk about it. So long ago, when the Earth was still a molten core and rain had not even developed yet, I did a series theorizing what the Shikai and Bankai of all the unknown Shikai and Bankai Zanpakuto were. And with this, I thought on it for a little while. I'm like, well, we saw that's theorizing what the Bankai is, but what would these Zanpakuto be like at their full capacity? Now, what do I mean by that? Well, we see this within Bleach, how Zanpakutos clearly evolved to what their true power is. A little more, the Shinigami trained with them, learn more about them. Perfect example, Rukia. Rukia had their 3 dances. We assumed it was an ice-type Zanpakuto, but what it actually did was simply lower her temperature, and the sword acted as an extension of her arm. Another perfect example of this would be Zabumaru's true Bankai. It hid its true abilities from Renji. And so forth and so on. I mean, there are another example actually is Sakanade, Shinji's Bankai. Not only can he invert your sense of sight, he can also invert your he can invert all your senses. He can invert what you're hearing, words sound like they're in reverse, and he can he's even trying to invert the feeling of hot and cold. So when something's hot, it feels cold. When something is cold, it feels hot. So there's still room for growth on that Zanpakuto. Again, like Kazeshine, for example. We didn't know its true ability until it can't feel your own world, when Hisage finally accepted his sword. And so I thought, let's actually look through as many of these Zanpakuto as we can and figure out what would these things fully realized be like and how powerful they be. Now, there's certain characters you're clearly not going to see on this list. Yamamoto, for example, is not going to be on the list. On this series, people like Yamamoto, Shuhei, Unohana, they were so old and so powerful and been around for so long that it's pretty clear they had pretty much all but mastered their Zanpakutos at that point, like to the extent that they could. Also, I will not be for example, we're starting with Maurizio here. I will not be theorizing on the Bankais this time around. I'm simply going to be looking at the Zanpakutos as they are. So if there is a Bankai available, great. If there isn't a Bankai available, I will not be stressing on that too much. With that being said, I started the Bankai series, theory series with Maurizio. Let's start the realized Zanpakuto series with Maurizio. And honestly, Gegetsuburi is one of those Zanpakuto that clearly doesn't have any real special abilities. It is simply a ball mace on a chain. But there is still things we can do with this. For example, this is how it currently looks in the series. A powerful ball on a chain. I theorize that the Bankai on this is either just a very large ball on a chain, multiple balls that swing, or possibly something like a large multi-part flail that separates and then reattaches. Point being, though, is that right out the gate, the Zanpakuto actually started with a more dangerous form in the series. The initial Shikai it started with these giant F-off spikes. Now, the reason I think that it was changed is because maybe it was a little bit more difficult to draw. Maybe it made Maurizio at least a little bit more powerful than Kubo wanted him to. Maybe he just forgot. But if you want to hypothetically go for an in-universe answer to why that happened, Maurizio's a lazy-ass son of a bitch. He does not train very much, as far as we know. So it's theoretically possible that the fact that he skimped on his training weakened his Zanpakuto to the point where it went from something that's still pretty, like, a clunky weapon, but still pretty powerful, but more powerful than what it is, to that, which is like, okay, not that great. Because let's be honest. In the fight with the Arrancar he fought, which I can't remember that Arrancar's name, the elephant transformation one, if he had hit him with that, because he hit him directly on the head, he might have very well killed him with that. So I think the first thing we can look at to fully realize this Zanpakuto is to change it back into this design. In fact, I could even argue you could say that when it transforms, there might be even more spikes, and that he's actually can hold it by the spikes. I'm not saying it's going to be just one giant ball of nothing but spikes. I'm just saying as he's getting stronger, the spikes grow larger. He maybe adds more spikes onto it, because when you really look at it, there are a lot more spikes on the smaller one. When you really, well, maybe not a lot more. About this, let me see here. Let me see if I can get a gauge how much is on here. I can see like 5. Like I can see kind of like the star pattern there, and then that. No, yeah, there are more. No, I'm sorry, there are more spikes on the second one than there are on the first one. If you just get if you frankly just give the original design that many spikes, well, it's still just a large flail, and it immediately becomes a much more dangerous object to deal with. So I think that would be the first thing to do. Beyond that, though, we do see in the Zanpakuto Spirit arc, the Zanpakuto Revolution arc, I think it was called, that Gegetsuburi, because of spiritual portion and all that, its size can be increased. So, if Maurizio, in a hypothetical where Maurizio becomes a captain, a fully realized, full-powered, fully everything, is Zanpakuto is fully at its full power, I think we're looking at something with massive F-off spikes like this, but also a much larger Zanpakuto, like maybe about the size of him, but because it's his Zanpakuto, he can wheel it perfectly fine. I could also see an argument being made that he could actually change the size of the Zanpakuto as it's transformed. Maybe start swinging it just as the small size, like the size it is at what we see there. And then he swings it, comes about at the enemy, and it grows like twice in size or 3 times as large. So I could see a lot of changes you can make to the Zanpakuto to improve it, actually, while still maintaining the fact that it's not very versatile, it's not very strong. Let me rephrase that. It's not very versatile, it's not a keto type, it's not going to be beating Yamamoto in a fight or anything like that, but there are things and avenues you can make an argument for to improve this Zanpakuto. So that might be where I start with this Zanpakuto and end up with the Zanpakuto to improve it. That's just my thoughts, though. What do you think? Not all these episodes are going to be 8 minutes long, because some of these are very basic Zanpakutos. But other, like this one, it's only as long as it is because I had to explain, the setup for this series. But still, I think that's not a bad avenue to start or go if you were to fully realize the Zanpakuto. So what would you do to fully realize the Zanpakuto? Anything I suggested? Anything else? I heard some ideas like the spikes shoot out and attack the opponent. I'll be honest, I don't know if that's an ability that seems to, that Omaedes seems to kind of exhibit as like a technicality on in his intelligence. Like, I don't see him as a very cunning strategist in that sense. I also don't see it really making sense. But again, in theory, some Zanpakutos have abilities that they just never show. An example would be Fujikojaku or Rirukojaku, whichever one is the name it hates. It hides the abilities because a different name is used. But I don't know. The idea of the spikes shooting out isn't a bad idea, and then maybe they just immediately replenish. So if he smacks the flail into the opponent, he just fires the spikes, just literally pierces them. That would make it a much more dangerous Zanpakuto. I'm just not sure if I see that as a realistic avenue. Like if we were to look at it in the actual story itself. But who knows? Maybe that's the avenue Kubo goes down. Maybe we see him in the Hell Arc, he battles someone, and he actually shoots the spikes out, and it has this form again. I don't know. Spitballing at that point. Let me know in the comments below, though, what you think. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. If I can, because they're very short, maybe I'll dole one of these out once a week. Because they're very short, they're quick and easy to do. Maybe I'll do that. But don't expect any immediate schedule for this particular series. Till then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.